I'm so excited to introduce to you something that I've been wearing and loving for some time now, and I think you will too. For me, when I braid or teach or go throughout my day, style and comfort are a tie for my number one priority. And that's why I love Clove shoes. I mean, you can't spell clove without love. That's Clove. And they started making sneakers for the healthcare workers like nurses who need good support for long shifts on their feet. Same as in beauty and with creators, right? You're on your feet on the go all the time. And that's what these shoes are for. They're also waterproof and they wipe clean, so there's no worries about spills or stains from any products you use. And on top of that, they're super cute. And there's so many colors for you to choose from, so it'll go with any look you have. I'd love for you to try a pair, so I've got an offer code for you. Visit goclove.com/Karen and use code CloveKaren, that's Clove, then my name, Karyne, for 20% off your first pair. You might start collecting them like I do. That's Clove Karen for 20% off your first shoe order at goclove.com/Karen. Welcome to the Art of Braids. I'm your host, Karen Tenard, and I am so excited about our conversation today. Today's topic is about building a legacy, the rise of Brooklyn Natural Hair Fest with our special guest, Angela Pennyfeather. Angela, thank you for joining us. Please tell me our audience a little bit about yourself, your background, and anything you would like to share for.
So first off, thank you so much for having me. I feel like a really special guest. Like I'm always the one interviewing people, and so it's really cool to be on the other side and talking about things like hair and braids and all that good stuff with someone like yourself, Karen. So thank you so much, one, for having this platform to do it, and two, inviting me. I'm honored. Um, Yes, I am Angela Pennyfeather. I am born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. My background, I started in journalism. I wanted to be the next Barbara Walters, Oprah Winfrey. And so I did a couple years in that and realized, okay, what's next? Went to grad school and studied marketing. And it was like this untapped market of what is marketing? Like I've always heard of it, but I never really understood that there was something that you could study. And I said, oh, I could do this. I enjoy data. I enjoy research. I enjoy connecting. I enjoy partnerships. And so I did a lot of marketing for high profile spaces in New York City, whether it was the Seaport, whether it was Central Park, whether it was Fifth Avenue, Coney Island. And so I've done these iconic places in New York City because my heart is always New York. I'm always trying to figure out how to keep these iconic places revived, especially during times where people might think it's outdated, people don't want to go there. And so that's always been it's always been my background, marketing. And after leaving Fifth Avenue and working in the luxury sector, which was unbelievably amazing, and creating really great events for brands like Saks, Cartier, Gucci, Louis Vuitton. I said, again, my next question was, what's next? Because that's always my way of saying, A, how do I challenge myself? And B, there is something that's after this. I'm not someone that's always going to be stuck in something for 20 years per se in a particular place. But I like to see that everything that I've learned, how do I keep applying that so I can continue to grow? And so Brooklyn Natural Hair Fest came 2 years ago because of Curl Fest. I attended and I said, oh, I could do this in a smaller scope in a way that fits for me, in a way that fits in a way of how I envisioned it, of what I thought that people could take away from it. And so it started last year, June 23rd, 2024. I'm really excited about growing it because it's something that I love, hair and community.
Thank you so much for giving the background of all that you do and all who you are and going to be. So That's really great. I think you segued into the next question, which was what was the reason you started Brooklyn Natural Hair Fest and basically
Absolutely.
the vision behind it. But okay, you didn't tap too much into it, but I do want to like um you mentioned you were inspired by Curl Fest and
Hmm.
wanted to do something on a smaller scale for yourself.
Hmm.
How do you envision Brooklyn Natural Fest becoming Brooklyn Natural Hair
Natural
Fest?
hair first, yeah.
Okay, become
Yeah, big question. Just to go back, so I was a naturalista. I feel like I say I was a fake naturalista for 12 years. I cut my hair off, and I say fake because I was still straightening it. I was still doing the silk press or the blowouts because I didn't like my natural hair texture at that time. I was having a lot of heat damage, so when I tried to do the natural, use the products to get the curls weren't popping. They were little dangly worms, and I wanted some juicy curls that I could ping pong bean. And it was like jellyfish. That's exactly the word. It was like jellyfish. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna keep it straight. And 2 years ago, I went to Curl Fest because my niece, who has natural hair, wears her natural hair, she invited me to go, and I said, sure. Like, I'm just gonna go. I wanted to go to hang out with her. I sat there and I watched women wearing their beautiful natural hair, heightening it up with whether it was adding flowers or just any kind of decor, and I loved it. And I was inspired by them, and I'm like, I think I want to wear my natural hair. That was one. And two, based off of my experience of doing events and placemaking and bringing community together, I knew I could do something like Curl Fest. Maybe not to the magnitude, but I knew I could do these intimate gatherings about hair and culture. And so, right after I left the Curl Fest, a month later, I did the big chop. And I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in. Like, I want to know the products, I want to know the brands, I want to know if it works for my hair because that's something that I didn't get at Curl Fest was the education part. And so I knew if there were other women like myself who were invested in going to these events because of their hair and wanting to know how to rock their curls and not have them look like jellyfish, what does it take? And so I started it. I was every week I was playing with my hair, testing it out, and I fell back in love with my hair. I love, like, I can honestly say I love my hair. I'm not wearing braids now because I've traveled, but I love my hair. I love how it feels. I love playing with it, which I've always done as a kid, but I enjoy testing it out. Like, just, because my hair might be a certain level doesn't mean that I can't have fun or do other things with it, whether it's twist outs, whether it's perm rods, slicking back, doing a little mohawk. I love it. And so it was a great inspiration for me. And I did Brooklyn Natural Hair Fest, which was, a smaller scale, but worked with brands that could educate the attendees that could say, okay, let's see if this works for your hair texture or this product specifically works for this type of hair texture. Or, we had a curl detangler. Like, can it really work with my hair? Is it too soft? Is it too brittle? What is 4C? It's this name that everyone thinks that they have 4C here and they don't. And so it was really honing in. And so I want to do more of that. I want to do more gatherings in that magnitude where it's intimate. You have takeaways, you leave knowing what to do with your hair. Um, and you also network because you just never know who you meet or other women that have the same issues like yourself. And so I want to keep that going. I'm invested.
I love it. I love it. And your braids are protecting the curls that you sacred, that you hold
Yeah.
sacred. So, I really love the vision behind it and the education behind it. And, me, I'm like, I'm about education and making sure
Yep.
that people have that the know-how. There's products that's popping up everywhere, right? And some of them are not some of them are not good. Let's just be honest. Like
Absolutely.
they're more of like it's pretty, the
Yep.
bottle marketing is
Yep.
great, but when it comes to the product, like is it really helping?
Yep.
Um, and so
I think that's an amazing point that you brought up because, or sometimes you're going based off of the trend, based off of what you see or what you think it should be. And one of the things that I did with Brooklyn Natural Hair Fest is that I brought vendors that were small business, all female based, but small business and couldn't get the exposure out there. They couldn't compare to a Cantu or Mayel. Like they had, whether it was a lower following or the outreach. And so it was my way of saying, here, like get your product out there. Like, everyone is testing a product, but as long as it's something that you feel like it could work for potential clientele, like why not? Like let's get it out there.
Hmm, love it. Okay, so we're gonna move over to the next question, which is, how have you seen, which is a little bit of like what we just touched on as well. How have you seen the natural hair industry evolve, and what roles do events like yours play in shaping its future?
Hmm.
Touched on it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel here's the thing, it's so competitive, right? The natural hair care industry, that it feels like everyone is always like, oh, there's just a top five. And there's not a top five. There's just so many small businesses that are out there. And like I said, if they don't have the money or if they don't have the Instagram followers or that reach, it's very hard for them to get out there. But they're so passionate about their product. And that's what I'm always invested in, the passion, right? What is the storytelling behind it? There's one woman that came to the Brooklyn Natural Hair Fest as a vendor from the Midwest and traveled because she was so determined that she made a great hair mask that could grow your hair. It was organic, natural products. And so I'm like, you sure you want to come and invest? She's like, absolutely. Like, I know my product is worth it. I would never be able to get to New York if I didn't connect with you, and it's worth it. And she sold out of that product that in day. She sold out of that specific mass product because her passion and her storytelling, she used it. She showed what it was. She showed how her hair was before and after. And all of this she was making at home. And for me, that is something that because I think the top five brands, right, are so manufactured now. So they're in companies or they have parent companies now, and you miss the storytelling, you miss the passion behind the product or behind it. And now it's more about, oh, I got to make sure I keep up with the product or the quantity or the need for it.
Right.
Um, and then you lose it. And unfortunately, like the other day, we were talking about a natural hair care brand that's been in the news, and they were, this individual was saying that she just threw all the products away because it was no longer feeling like how it used to feel. And for me, I'm kind of like, I don't want natural hair care brands to go based on the hype, to be these Instagram celebrities. I want them to go back to the origin of why they did what they did. Because if they do what they do, then it's easy for them to keep that going. um, Carol's daughter was a really good example of it, selling and now they're getting it back. And so, um, I remember hearing Carol's daughter's story, and I loved it. And then you lose it because they got sold and, other people were manufacturing it. And just to know that they're reclaiming it back, and like you see Lisa now back on Instagram talking about the story again, like that's what people want. They want to know especially if you're paying 13 plus dollars for a product,
Hmm.
it has to work. I want to know that there's care in it. The same care that you're putting in to make it, that I'm now going to put in to style it, it has to match. Like $17, $20, it has to work.
Exactly. Yeah, because then when they do sell, it's like they start to go based off of the bottom line, and it's like, let's go with the cheaper products, let's go
Yep.
with cheaper ingredients to
Yep.
make this. And it's like, no, natural hair is a beast in its own. Like it's like it needs all the things. Like it needs original and organic, and like it can't do with the synthetic versions of ingredients. And so yeah, I mean it's costly. This natural hair game is not.
not, it's no joke. It's costly, and women are invested in it, you know? They're going to buy it, so it's there. But what they want to be able to buy is that, you mentioned legacy. Is this something that I can use with my kids? Because that's something that I try to look out for with my son. He wears his hair in lots. So maybe some of the shampoos or conditioners, can we both use that? Because that is part of telling the story, right? Like I grew up in a Caribbean culture, in a Southern culture. And so hair was very much in my life, whether it was using the hot comb for Easter or going to the salon and seeing my great grandmother getting her hair done. I've seen the products that they use, Luster's Pink, and that was something that I used because that was something that they used, and that was good for their hair. It's going to be good for mine. And I think that is really important. Like I said, storytelling is just so big with marketing. And so if you start being more like, oh, $7 and this is on sale and buy this, or you're working with, or you're sending products out to this influencer, you start losing your core audience.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that, like just the perspective of your insight when it comes to the product quality and just kind of like the connection between your son and yourself and being able to be like, hey, mom, can I use that product? Like when he gets older, like it's like, oh, I just borrowed this. And it's if it's safe for you, it should be safe for other people. And when we're talking about like my audience, we're braiders, like if you're not using this product for yourself, are you like why would you introduce it to other
Yep.
people? And so my hair been through all types of stuff. Like I'm like, hell, do not use that because XYZ. Like I can speak from
Experience.
experience,
Yep.
and so and that's the honest truth. Like people will be like, oh my God, what you use? Oh, I use this, I use that,
Right.
I use it. You're not gonna see me like promote anything or any product that is like I've never even tried.
Right. I'm the same way. Like someone will ask me what's a good water-based product, because, sometimes your hair doesn't need that much water if your hair already is hydrated. And so I'm always asking, okay, what is it that you're particularly looking for? Is it for dryness? Is it you need more moisture? Um, you just want to shine. Like, I'm always asking. One, I always say I am not a hairstylist, but to your point, right? We go based off of our experiences, and I'm always like, okay, but what does your texture? What is your texture? Because if I'm not next to you, I want you to feel your hair. Right? Like that goes a part of loving your hair. One of my best friend recently did the big chop and she is in love with her hair. And that I love seeing that. Like I love seeing women love their hair. Like, and especially young Black girls. Like that is what keeps me going with Brooklyn Natural Hair Fest.
No, I love that. Exactly. When people start loving their hair, they're like, oh my God, I didn't even know my hair could do this. I
What?
feel like this. Like, yeah, when you love on something, it actually shows up a little differently.
It
Um,
does.
so yeah. Okay, so now when we're talking about advice and speaking to braiders, what advice do you have for braiders and beauty professionals looking to use community events like yours
Mhm.
to grow their brand and clientele?
That's a really great question. And I saw it and I was like, ooh, when you shared it with me. Um, like not to be afraid, right? I think that there's obviously thousands of hairstylists, right, here in New York City, but some of them are just here for the dollar and keep that seat in rotation. But then you have some that are really big on education and advocacy. Like they know that, yeah, you're my client and yeah, I'm your stylist, but our connection is going to keep expanding, I'm going to constantly educate you on your hair. And, whether you bring in your referrals, that's great for me. But as a stylist, I'm also going to educate myself so that I can continue to educate you. And I feel like that's one of the best things. Especially when I did a panel with stylists in New York City. for Brooklyn Natural Hair Fest last year because I wanted the audience to understand that it doesn't just can stop at the seat, or the hot curl or the braiding or, the products. Like these stylists are invested in their craft, whether they're going to events, whether they're being a part of panels or they're educating themselves to continue learning about the natural hair care because every person has different texture and what works for one is not going to work for all. And I feel like the more that stylists, hair braiders, lean into community events like Brooklyn Natural Hair Fest, or your event, Karen, as well. Like that's how they continue to be invested in their craft and invested in community and invested in the culture. Like it goes bigger than just posting on Instagram and hoping that you're going to get that client or feeling like you are that stylist. Like we are at the age where people see authenticity, where people know what they want and they're invested. Styles do not cost like how they did back in the days. It's money. And it's worth it. But it goes deeper than that sheer connection. I always want to make sure that my stylist knows the trends, like knows what's happening, knows the products. I might show them something. I want them to know because I'll be damned if they still using Dudleys on me.
I'm done. Oh, okay.
That's the 99. No.
Yeah, no, I really, yeah, like I think it is about, yeah, you touched on it perfectly about evolution,
Hmm.
elevation and improving. Like there was things that we did do in the past to our hair that worked, and there's some that did not, but there are people that just use it religiously because they don't know any better, or oh, that's how this person did it. That's how my mom did it. That's how her mom did it. That's how you be like, no, this is where it stops. Like
Right.
we don't have to do that anymore.
Um,
Like even the hot comb to an extent. You know what I'm saying? Like, do we still need that? Like, are we still like like like
yeah. It's like
we're
old trained habits.
right, which is burning the scalp, which is causing scar tissue,
Hmm.
and then look, slowly but surely, hair may not grow in that particular spot
Yeah.
anymore because of the heat that's being applied to it. So I think it's definitely very, very important, like you said, to educate your clients. The more they're educated, the better they are as a client.
And even like for yourself, like look how you just elevated your style, like your hairstyle, right? Like what you're doing right now. Like you're like, okay, you started out, okay, this is cute. The blonde is cute. Okay, but what's next? Like, let me add, And like that's what people want. They want to know that, yo, my stylist knows what's like has a vision. That's it. Has a vision.
Yeah, it's not just I do hair. Like you need
Yeah.
more than that. It's a whole like vision, lifestyle. Like okay,
Yep.
so the last but not least is how can beauty industry continue to push for the more representation, education, and empowerment for natural hair professionals? Because I know they're doing like there's like this debate on like the licensing, like is that do we cut hours? Like is it required? Like what is your take on this the industry?
You know what? The beauty industry has to be bigger advocates for the natural hair brands. Like advocacy has to be at the forefront. I think they are so much into, oh, we want to be a part of the culture. Culture doesn't just stop with having these influencer parties or, picking these influencers and flying them out and thinking that it's going to be this wow factor of getting more people to buy the product. You have to advocate for these brands. Like they have to remember that it is a community. It is a huge community of Black and brown women, men, kids that are buying, that are invested in it. And it has to start there. It cannot just be for the gram. And that's my takeaway. Advocacy. Please be an advocate for these brands. Please, and what that looks like, grants, right? Bringing in more grants, connecting with more financial institutions like Chase, Bank of America, that can offer grants to these small businesses that are invested in the natural hair care brands, offering it to them because you know, it's hard being an entrepreneur, especially when you have a passion and you don't have the outreach and you are so sick and tired of seeing the same
Right.
individual brands, companies getting their acclamation or getting those offers. And you're kind of like, what about me? What do I do? And I get it. And it's hard. And so if the big beauty brands, the parent companies can extend themselves more past what they think is out there and start really understanding who's who, I think that would help. I think that they need, you know, more education on that, education and being an advocacy.
Right. I'm not even going to add to that because I think it was perfectly said.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so now, when it comes to now that the educational part of this interview is pretty much wrapped, I want to ask a few questions as for the audience to get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
Which is one, what is something that people are surprised to learn about you?
So I think people think that they know me. And I think that they, because my nature, they see me, they might think that I'm quiet. I'm an introvert, but at the same time, I'm an introvert that creates magic. I think when they see the work that I've done or they see me on Instagram, they're like, oh my God, oh my God. What I do, I do. I don't give myself to everyone. I give myself to those that I feel comfortable with. I give myself to those that there's a connection with, that is authentic. And when we're connected, that's where you see my magic. That's where you see Angela. I think that that's one thing that a lot of people don't. I think the people that do know me understand. Um, and yeah.
Okay. And so, okay, I can kind of see that. Like sometimes, I mean, when you lead with all the things that you are and stuff like that, you don't need to sell yourself to nobody. Like, it's like, oh, what do you do? What do you do? You're like, this is who I am. Like, we vibe, cool. And then you be like, for real. If you're
Yeah.
like, oh, you're there, like, yeah, but that's not, I'm so, when you kind of like separate yourself from like what you do and just
Yep.
like, this is who I am, that makes sense.
And I'm
Um,
always going to be true to who I am. I think like, some people might think quiet might be that I'm like stush or whatever, but quiet is me just taking it in, reading the room, and I think that's a big thing that a lot of people don't do. And so when I'm able to identify with someone that I can connect with or be in the space where I can connect with, that's where the magic unleash, you know? But that's something about me. If I'm quiet, it's for a reason, you know? Whether it's good or bad, but
I'm
it's for
paying
a reason.
attention.
I'm paying attention and I'm reading because I think that's sometimes what people um they lack. A lot of people lack. A lot of people don't know how to just be still. And I'm very much a still individual. And I try to teach my son that. But it's not so much, hi, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, let's center ourselves. Let's remember that. Let's remember stillness.
Okay.
Because if
So,
not, I'm gonna like back away. Like the Homer meme where he bats into the bush. That is me. If I see you coming, I'm backing away.
it gets overwhelming and it's like,
Yeah.
it's so anxious. You'd be like, oh my God. Like, it's like, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Like, oh, let's work together. You'd be
Yeah.
like, hold on,
Yeah.
let me get to know you. Like, and so it's like, yeah, I feel like time will tell, like if it's
Exactly.
if it's instant, then that would also show like off the bat, like, oh, this makes sense.
Right.
But if it's like, wait, hold up, like, let's see. But I know I love that you went into like, I'm reading, right? So the next question is about books. And I wanted to kind of, I know I sent you the questions ahead of time,
Yeah.
but I wanted to ask, what are you reading and would you recommend that? Like,
So I came prepared. I read this book once a week. Aside, like I have become a really avid reader um, since last year, and so I'm always reading something every week. But I read this every Sunday. This is Black Liturgies, Prayers, Poems, and Meditations for Staying Human by co-author Riley. And every Sunday I read this. And so for the past 3 months, um, I'm like now on chapter 15, I believe, because I wanted to read this slow. Like I could have probably finished this in a day. That's how good this book is. But I said, no, I'm going to use this as my Sunday slowdown and really hone in on one, the questions that she asked us to answer,
mhm,
um, meditate through those questions, read the prayers, really understand what the prayers are, say them to myself if it applies to me, and look at her story and her poems. And so I have gifted my friends for their birthdays. That's my plan this year. Some of them already got it, but I am gifting them this book because I feel that every Black person, man or woman, should read this. It talks about anything from grief to love to movement to mortality, rage. Um, and it's not about being sorry for if you feel those things. And that's where I love that it comes from. It's that we have them, they exist in us. But one, how are they existing in your body? Two, where did they exist that you saw it in your past, whether it's through your parents or your family? Three, what does it look like if it didn't exist? And so those are just some questions that she has. She has so much that makes you think of your generation before you, what you want to look ahead, what does ahead look like, and where you are in this present moment, and not being apologetic about it. Because so many times we're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I yelled. Oh, I'm so sorry I feel this way. I'm so sorry I'm grieving because I just lost someone. And it's like, you don't have to be sorry. These are all human aspects that we have that's going on in our bodies. And instead of us pushing it away to validate or give someone an answer that they should have, no, let's start figuring out on ourselves why we feel this way. What's that story looking like that we're telling ourselves? And what's the prayer? Because every chapter has a few prayers that she offers related to those emotions. So whether it's praying for the trans girl or praying for, you're forgetting something, sometimes we're at this age now where we got to write things down and we get sometimes annoyed, but it's like, okay, pray for that we remember certain things. Pray that we are not gaslit. So it's like, yeah, it's yeah, the gaslit is real. And so it's like it's such a cherish and it's something that I have loved that I'm like, if I can offer this to somebody, that's my goal this year.
I love that. And I love the fact that you like are so invested in that. You're gifting to your friends for their birthday. No, I really love the fact that you use your book, like you've invested so much into what you do on weekly on Sundays,
Mhm.
to then share that because you believe in it,
Yeah.
your family, with your friends for their birthday. So it shows like, yeah, no, this book is legit. Is
Yep.
so I really love that. So please, listeners, go get you one of these books.
It's Black
Um,
liturgies.
I will definitely put that in the show notes. Um, Again, now this is our last one. How can people support? How can people support and find you on social media, your
Huh.
site? Let us know.
Instagram, BK Natural Hair Fest. And I definitely do encourage you to follow us because we have exciting news that we're going to be sharing pretty soon because we're going to be cooking up something June 28th in a partnership. It's going to be a fun collaboration. I do encourage you all the listeners, to please follow Brooklyn Natural Hair Fest, BK Natural Hair Fest on Instagram. You can follow myself, Angela Pennyfeather, on Instagram because we have some things that we are dropping pretty soon that you're going to be like, oh, oh,
Oh.
oh, period.
Thank you so much. You've been like great. The conversation was just like real. For listeners that don't know, I've had a conversation with Angela on her platform
Yes.
already on IG, and now I was like, you know what, we need to have another conversation.
Yes.
And so that's why I wanted to invite Angela on the Art of Braids podcast because it just made sense.
I'm
Um,
honored.
yeah, thank you. I'm honored as well. And so again, like Angela said, please follow her on BK Natural Hair Fest on IG and anywhere else on the net because there is exciting news that's coming up. And so look out for that and pay attention.
Amazing. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome. Thank you.